Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the MJ Hurley Show, presented by TDT Media and Erie Insurance. Thank you so much for tuning in on this fine Monday morning. It's been a little bit of a hiatus. I've had a crazy few weeks. I was fighting off a little bit of a cold. Today's actually my birthday, so wish me a happy birthday. No, don't do that. But no, had a crazy few weeks. Got a promotion at work, fought off a cold. It's been a wild little bit around the house. But I'm back. I'm glad to be back at it. I also missed Third Down Thursdays last week due to some work conflicts. So there are a few things that I'll talk about today that I probably would have talked about last week. So if you're a friend of the show on Third Down Thursdays, be excited for a little chaos that comes just from me in the next few minutes. So I'll talk a little bit about March Madness, a little bit about some NBA action, and then we'll talk a little bit as well about a very interesting baseball situation that's going on. If you haven't heard, Shohei Ohtani is in a little bit of some hot water. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is everybody's favorite thing right now, March Madness. And I'll go over my bracket real quick. I believe as of right now, assuming everything is going well, I believe I have my entire Elite Eight still taken care of. So my thing is my current score is not the best. I'm ranked 11,270,028th in the world. My percentage is only 57.9 because I only have 410 points right now, but I actually have a decent max score left because my entire Elite Eight right? I believe that's what we're looking at right now. I believe I have my whole Elite Eight. Obviously, the Sweet 16, no. I'm missing a few teams out of there, but from the Elite Eight, we're looking fantastic. We're recording this just after the finish of the Houston Texas A&M game, and let me just say, Houston, who is my champion that I have personally on my bracket. It made me a little nervous. Okay. Now I am an agent of chaos. So I wanted this game to get crazy. I looked at my wife with 5 minutes left in the game and I said, hey, let's have some fun. Let's make this a close game. And boy, did Texas A&M do that. That game took forever. It took over 3 hours from tip off to completion. The last 2 minutes of that game alone took forever. Huge shout out to Texas A&M. They did an incredible job making that a close game. They gave Houston every single ounce of energy that they had. The Aggies did an incredible job. I would also like to give an incredible shout out to Kelvin Sampson, who's the head coach of Houston basketball, who did an incredible job managing that basketball game. The first time since 1987, when UTEP did it in the round of 64, that a team has won a March Madness game when 4 or more players fouled out in a game. Sampson had a walk-on, a fourth-year walk-on, Ryan Elvin, shooting free throws with the game on the line in overtime. And Sampson coached his team incredibly. They were facing an incredible amount of pressure from the Aggies, who basically were full court pressing for almost 7 straight minutes. So Houston did an incredible job. I've been a huge fan of March Madness so far. It's actually very interesting. In the first round, the underdogs did amazing. They did a fantastic job. You had a bunch of 12 seeds winning, like people's brackets were going down. And then today, all of the 8 games today, the favorites won every single game on Sunday. So I just think that speaks to, to some extent, the upsets are cool. The upsets are trendy in the first round, right? But I believe this is also the first time in March Madness history. I saw this on the CBS or the TNT broadcast. I don't know if this is still accurate, but I believe this is the first time ever that all of the first and second seeds made it to the Sweet 16. So there's a lot of firepower left in this tournament. There's a lot of volatility left in the remainder of these brackets. So if your bracket is doing well, congratulations. If it's not doing well, it's okay. There's still a lot of basketball left to play. If you've still got your champion, if you've still got your Final Four, it's okay. We're still hanging in there, and I'm very excited. Like I said, I have Houston. I believe my Final Four. Let me check here. I don't like the bracket the way the bracket thing looks on the computer, I believe I have UConn, Houston, Arizona, and Purdue, I believe, is my Final Four, which I guess isn't a very unique Final Four, but that's what I've got for that. And then I've got Houston beating UConn in the championship. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, March Madness, we'll have more on that next week as well after another round of games, see how all of that breaks down. But the next thing I want to talk about, we'll stay on the basketball train for now, is the Western Conference chaos that we've got going on for specifically the play-in. So Golden State Warriors lost today against the Timberwolves, and there are a lot of people who are upset with how many minutes Steph Curry played. I believe he only played 29 or 30 minutes. And it's understandable because the Warriors are now one game from giving up the 10th seed at the bottom of the play-in to the Houston Rockets, who are the only team left who have a chance to sneak into that play-in. Other than that, it's pretty much settled all of the other seeds. So Golden State is 2 games out from the 9 seed. They are a full 5.5 games out from the 6 seed. They're not getting out of the play-in, right? And so it's just where are they going to fall within the play-in? And now it's even with only let's see, that's 70, doing some quick math. They only got 12 games remaining in the rest of this NBA season, and they're in a 1-game race with the Rockets for that 10th seed. And so what's very interesting to me is the amount of star power that we're going to have in this play-in. So let's just assume that right now the Warriors will make it in the play-in since they're currently slotted in that 10th seed. You would have in the first round, or in the first game, a classic matchup over the last few years, the Kings versus the Warriors. And then for the other game, you would have the Mavericks versus the Lakers, Luka versus LeBron, which both of these games give me so much intrigue. For the Mavericks game, I think it's amazing because you have the older triple-double king, the older LeBron, who gets all of the counting stats in any category. And now you've got Luka Doncic, who, if you've seen the memes on TikTok, if he scores 36, 6, and 6 in a game, his averages go down. Right? I'm sure you've all seen those TikToks, those stupid meme TikToks that are out there. I just love that there is so much parity in the NBA right now. For years, and even as a Warriors fan, it was, okay, we're going to see Warriors versus LeBron in the finals. And it doesn't really matter who does what in the regular season, because when it comes down to it, Bron's going to blaze his way to the finals because he did it for 9-10 straight years. And then for 4 straight years, Curry and the Warriors were there, and it was the same story every year. As much as I loved watching my Warriors in the finals, it's really fun to see different teams making runs every single year. You've got a OKC Thunder team who is at second in the West, who is their average age of their starting lineup is under 23 years old, right? And then you've got the Boston Celtics, who have been struggling in the last few years to make that final push. They are 7 games above anybody else in the NBA, period. Not just in the Eastern Conference, where they have an 11-game lead on the number 2 seed Bucks, but in the entire NBA, where they're 7 games better than the reigning champion Denver Nuggets. And when you look at Denver, they are poised to run through the West again, although OKC and Minnesota are playing very well. When you look at the ability that the Denver Nuggets have to control the pace in a playoff game, it's going to be very difficult to beat Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic in a 7-game series. I really like OKC. I like the Minnesota Timberwolves and what Anthony Edwards and that squad are doing. But again, it's kind of one of those things where I don't think we've even seen the full potential of the Denver Nuggets this year. Nikola Jokic, by all accounts, doesn't even like playing basketball. He doesn't look like he likes playing basketball. And so he just goes out there during the regular season, does what he needs to do to get the 1 seed. And as long as they get the 1 seed, they're chilling. They get home court advantage at the Mile High in Denver throughout the entire playoffs. And that really is a challenge when you're playing a 7-game series against one of the best teams in basketball. So I just love this parity. It's not just the Western Conference play-in. It's all across the NBA. You've got so many stars and you've got so many teams who could make a run. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bucks made a run. You know why? Because they have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And so when you look at that, yeah, I think the Bucks could make a run. I think they could beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. On paper, the Celtics are far and away the best team in the NBA. They have an 11.8 point differential right now. They're on a 9-game win streak. Like they are on fire right now. They are on a Golden State Warriors type run of old where they're 32-3 at home. They are just torching the NBA. But there are still teams that could take them out. So I'm very excited to see how this NBA season plays out with a lot of teams having between 10 and 12 games left in the season. This is going to be a very fun close to the NBA regular season. Very excited to see what happens with that. But what's even more exciting, the Celtics have to defend their home court, right, ladies and gentlemen? And what's important when you need to defend your home court is some good home insurance from Erie.
Erie Insurance says here's to the grown-ups who move, mortgage, mow, and still bust a move. But does your home insurance still fit? Erie helps you protect the home you've grown into, all at fair prices that are often less than the other guys. So how do you find the right coverage? Magic. Nope. Local independent agents who get to know you like this.
Your local Erie agent is Building Block Insurance Group. Get a quote today at 704-464-4544.
Erie Insurance.
And when you call Jeff Wertebny at 704-464-4544, make sure to know that TDT Media and MJ Hurley sent you, and he will give you a little deal on that insurance. So with that being said, the next thing I want to talk about is the crazy chaos that is coming out of the Shohei Ohtani scandal over the last few days. So I'm going to give a quick breakdown. ESPN has a fantastic article out there. I believe Jeff Passan put out a piece kind of detailing the whole timeline of this situation. If you want the full timeline, go read that. I'm not going to give you every single thing that has happened. Here's the gist of what happened. A few days ago, the Dodgers fired Ippei. I'm not going to try and say his last name. They fired Ippei, who is Shohei Ohtani's translator and has been his translator pretty much his entire time in Major League Baseball. He has been supposedly a close friend for years and his translator. That is Shohei and Ippei in Korea at the Seoul Series. And so what happened was, while they're in Korea, in the middle of the night in America, a report comes out that the Dodgers have fired this translator because supposedly he transferred and stole $4.5 million from Shohei Ohtani's personal bank account to pay off, quote unquote, illegal gambling debts. And so over the past few days, we've had a firestorm of media surrounding this. Apparently, Shohei will speak to the media tomorrow in some capacity. I don't know who's going to be translating. I don't know if he's going to be talking to the media himself, since supposedly there have also been reports that he understands and speaks way more English than he's letting on. I don't know what's going to go on tomorrow. We'll get to that next week, right? But as of right now, here's what we do know. As far as anybody can tell, there are no reported bets on baseball. All of the bets were on other sports, which from the extent of like, do I care about that? We'll talk about, do I care about this as a media member, and do I care about this as a fan? As a fan, I could not care less. Even if Shohei was betting himself, he's one of the richest people on the planet, period. As long as he's not betting on baseball, and as long as he's not betting on games that he's involved in, or in a realm that he has any type of influence, the same way I wouldn't want a college basketball player betting on a March Madness game they're involved in, or on any March Madness games, because they could have inside information, they could have some sort of influence, and things like that. When it comes to a Major League Baseball player betting on a sport that isn't baseball, I really couldn't care less. I'll be perfectly honest. You can look at it from the moral standpoint of, a lot of people do not like gambling. A lot of people do not like some of the connotations that come from gambling. And I perfectly understand why, because it has been known to ruin lives. And there are a lot of issues that come with gambling addictions specifically, right? But if Shohei Ohtani wants to gamble, it is not my prerogative to tell him no. And it is not my prerogative to tell him he can't play baseball because he was gambling on another sport. Now, if Shohei Ohtani somehow, and this is where it gets a little weird for me, let's say that Shohei Ohtani somehow didn't know that his interpreter had access to his bank account, and didn't know that his interpreter was gambling to the point where he lost $4.5 million, and didn't know until somebody else told him that his interpreter took $4.5 million from his bank account. that's where it gets a little weird to me, right? And so if it's me, I am going to lean towards the idea of I think Shohei was gambling in some sense. Whether or not that was through his interpreter for, publicity reasons, if it ever did come out, I really don't know. Maybe there was some sort of deal made there. But I find it hard to believe. Shohei seems, I mean, if you're one of the best baseball players on the planet, you're a pretty smart guy. I believe Shohei is pretty intelligent. And I think he knew to some extent what was going on. And the idea that Shohei's interpreter had been hiding all this information from him and has been like censoring what Shohei says in interviews and what is said to Shohei in interviews. Like Shohei has been in the United States for a while. A lot of the Angels, Jeff Fletcher, who's one of my guys, interviewed him for Next Man Up with MJ Hurley years ago. He's the athletic reporter for the Angels. He came out with a report. He said he talked to a numerous amount of former Shohei Ohtani teammates on the Angels after this report came out. And basically their message was, hey, he understands a lot more English than you guys think he does, right? Like he knows what's going on. He can pretty much speak and understand English. It's just a convenience thing for him having an interpreter, which doesn't surprise me because Shohei's been in the United States for years. And even when he wasn't in the United States, he was preparing to come to the US. So the idea that Shohei can just get completely fleeced by his interpreter who lied about even going to college just kind of baffles me. I just don't think that's possible. But on the other side, as a media member, I also really don't care. Like, as long as Shohei is not doing anything irresponsible by, I don't think, especially with the culture that he comes from, I don't think he's going to be, he's never going to go out there promote gambling. I don't think that's something he should be doing just personally with my morals. But like as a media member, as a fan, I really don't care. Like what you do off the field, most of the time should be separated. Gambling hurts yourself, if anything. Like if he's gambling away his own money, right? That's not something that Major League Baseball should suspend him for. This is not a violent incident. This is not a domestic incident. This is gambling. Like, let's let the man do what he's going to do. And as long as he's not hurting others, as long as he didn't, rope Ipe into this. Now, if he used somebody else to cover up his illegal gambling, then we might have a little bit of a problem because that might be like a federal problem. And that's the only place where this might get into some trouble is if he gets into some federal trouble with the FBI and with federal authorities, then we could see some problems, right? But in terms of like, do I think he should get suspended from baseball for life? No, he's not Pete Rose. He wasn't betting on games he was managing, right? He was betting on random sports and he lost a bunch of money. Okay, let the man go play. Let the man go play. Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. You might not agree. You might agree. Let me know in the comments what you think. The last thing I do want to talk about, and this is something we've talked about a lot on Third Down Thursdays recently. Me, Connor, Bruce, right? I just want to give quick, 2 minutes of thoughts here on Caleb Williams, probably being the number one pick to the Chicago Bears. So the Bears traded Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick, which I think is laughable, first of all, because I had Bears fans telling me, first of all, that he was worth a 2nd-round pick, which is just idiotic because Justin Fields is not a good NFL quarterback right now. He could be. He's got the talent to be. But right now, if you have him as your starter, you are going to be bad. That's why the Bears had the number one pick last year on their own pick because they sucked, because Justin Fields sucked. So the idea that Connor and others and a lot of Bears fans are like, yeah, let's keep Justin Fields. That's a really good idea. We've seen what he can do. That seems like a really, let's build around Justin Fields. No, you idiot. Caleb Williams has a chance to be one of the greatest quarterbacks we have ever seen. He has the intangibles and the tangibles to be one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks. Now, could he bust hard? Pause. Yes, he could. In the NFL sense, he could be a major bust. There we go. That's a better way to phrase that. He could be a major bust down the line. We're talking like Ryan Leaf level, right? but he could also be Patrick Mahomes. Like, you're taking a risk, but it is career suicide for Ryan Poles to trade that pick 2 years in a row, and you cannot tell me that Justin Fields gave them a better chance to win in 2024 than Caleb Williams does, just flat out. Caleb Williams is already a better quarterback. His game will translate better to the NFL than Justin Fields will. He's a better thrower. He's just as good in creating outside the pocket. Obviously, he's not a better pure runner because Justin Fields was really good at that. But you know what your job is, in the words of former NFL DB Nate Ness, as a quarterback? Throw the football standing inside the pocket. Period. And the Bears have a really good defense. I don't know if they're going to be as good as Bruce thinks they are, but I think they're going to be good. And with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and probably a receiver at 9, the Bears are building a good supporting cast around what should be Caleb Williams as the starter in 2024. And I think that gives them the best chance to win. So if you're a Bears fan, you wanted to keep Justin Fields, just lick your wounds, make it to April, and then you're going to be screaming in joy for Caleb Williams when he gets drafted. You're going to go buy his jerseys. So save me the crap being sad that Justin Fields is gone, saying that they did him dirty by letting him go, by trading him to Pittsburgh. That's probably a great situation for him. Learn from one of the better mobile quarterbacks of our generation. And that's probably a good chance for him to start soon because Russ is on the decline. I don't know how the situation is going to go for Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. And if there's ever a place where he can learn from someone and then take their spot, I think it's Pittsburgh. And he's got a good culture, a good defense under Mike Tomlin. And I think that's a good spot for him. It's a good result for Justin Fields. The Bears get out and reset the contract clock with a rookie quarterback, assuming they take Caleb Williams. And it's a better situation for everybody. So calm down, Bears fans. If anything, just be mad that you get to ruin another generational quarterback, because that's what's going to happen. Justin Fields was really good in college. He had a lot of talent. And then the Bears ruined him. The chance of them doing that to Caleb Williams is unfortunately pretty high. You want to know why? Because the Packers and Lions are still better than the Bears. I hate to break it to you, but they're still going to be better than the Bears. The Vikings are trash. The Bears can beat up on the Vikings, but they're not going to beat up on the Packers. And they're especially not going to beat up on the Packers. Lions, maybe. Still not a huge Jared Goff fan, but save me the War Kings of the North. Save me that, like you did that with Justin Fields. At least wait until it happens with Caleb Williams, if it ever does. Let's be humble for once, Chicago. Let's be humble for once. But yeah, that's my little rant. That's about all I've got for now. Thank you everybody for watching. The support on me bringing back the MJ Hurley show has been awesome. So thank you for that. Let me know if you want to see segments. Let me know if you want me to bring on guests. I'm very open to expanding this and want to do this more often with more content. So let me know what you think and what we should do around here. As always, thank you to producer Cy Ingersoll in the background for helping me out with a little production. My name is MJ Hurley. I'll be back next time. But before that, I will leave you with the best insurance commercial in the business from Erie and the Card Guy.